This should have been my first red flag.
Fuck.
Hey guys, it's Joyce. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title of this video, yes, this is going to be my very first story time video. I know a bunch of you guys are looking for jobs right now and you guys are scrolling through LinkedIn, so you might have experienced something similar to me, and if you guys haven't, I hope you can take my experience and learn from it as well. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because it certainly is a journey. So one day I'm basically just on my phone and I get a notification on LinkedIn for someone to connect with me. And I always like to look at their profiles because I want to see who they are, what their experiences are, and if we have any mutual friends before I either connect or I decline their invite. So for this story, let's just call this person Lizzie. So Lizzie sends me an invite and I'm looking through her profile and I see that Lizzie is a lifelong learner, an entrepreneur, and a business analyst. And she also has multiple mutual connections with me. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this person isn't too much of a stranger. I'm just gonna connect with her because it seems like she's a really interesting person. Next thing you know, she messages me and says, "Hi Joyce, glad to connect. Your profile shows ambition to accomplish something great. What's your long-term vision?" And I'm thinking, wow, that's a really deep question. No one has ever asked me that in real life and on LinkedIn. So I just responded back to her because it seemed like she was genuinely interested on what I was passionate about and what my goals were. Pretty much at this point, we're going back and forth. We're talking about entrepreneurship. What are the reasons why I haven't actually pursued it? And what are the obstacles? I'm telling her, oh, I have a full-time job. I actually started recently, and I just think at this moment in time, I don't think it fits in the picture. I'm asking for advice. She's answering. She's asking me questions. I'm answering. And so at the end of this entire conversation, we pretty much hit it off. And she's telling me, we're pretty like-minded, Joyce. If you're in a space where you have ambition and time, say 10 to 15 hours a week on top of a job, I could potentially reach out to my mentors and see if there's any opportunity. Oh, that's really nice of her. So I'm thinking in my head, oh, what opportunity? Maybe it could be that she needs some volunteers to help her with her startup, or she knows someone that's looking for help with their startup, or potentially she wants to co-found a business with me one day because she has experience starting up her own companies. So I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. I would love to know about these opportunities. And I replied back to her and I said, I agree. I would love to connect and get to know you a little bit more. If you're ever in the New York area, let's grab some coffee. Or if not, here's my email. You can always reach out to me. So the next day she says, "Hey Joyce, hope all is well. I had a chance to speak about our conversation to our mentor this morning. She encourages us to schedule a video call to get to know each other better. What's your availability for 1 hour chat in the following days?" And I know you guys are thinking this is kind of weird. Why does she want a video chat with you? But in the entrepreneur world, video chatting with strangers you've never met before and just connecting and networking with them is not uncommon. So I was thinking, wow, okay, this is my first experience like talking to like a complete stranger. Let me embrace this moment and like, let's see where it goes. So I give her my availability and we schedule a Zoom call for the next day. So we're finally video chatting. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm talking to a complete stranger, but she makes me feel extremely comfortable. We're just talking about our experiences with entrepreneurship, how that came to be, what her experiences were, where she's from. We're just getting to know each other, right? So throughout this entire conversation, we're talking about the importance of mentorship. And I was actually telling her, like, I'm actually looking for a mentor, if you guys know of any, or like if you're taking mentees, like either or, like I just want to learn from someone, right? Learn from someone that's actually been in the industry and had that experience. And at one point I asked her if she could talk a little bit more about her mentors and how she got into contact with them. And this should have been my first red flag because she was a little bit apprehensive to talk about her mentors herself because she made it seem like they were very high profile, like successful people that didn't want to have their information out there. I was like, okay, maybe these are just really, really important people and I will eventually get to meet them, just not right now because I just met this person. So 30 minutes in, we're done with our icebreaker session. We are kind of friends at this point. And she says, "Do you have a pen and paper?" And I said, "Yeah, it's right next to me." She says, "I want you to jot these 5 things down. They're your 5 assets." And she starts teaching me immediately, giving me all this information that's supposed to help me grow. And I literally have the notebook right here where I was jotting this down. right here. So I'm just taking this all in at this moment, jotting it down because I think she has a lot of wisdom. So it's kind of wrapping up our first conversation, and then she gives me homework. I'm like, homework? Okay. So she wants me to 1, think about my ideal future state, 2, read a book called Go Giver by Bob Burg, and 3, look up what cash flow quadrant is. These are things I've never heard of in my entire life, so of course I'm going to be willing to learn new things. So I told her, yeah, thanks for this advice and the assignments. I'm going to get these done, and then we can connect when I'm done reading the book. So it's 2 days after our first Zoom call, and she messages me again on LinkedIn. I had a conversation with my mentor, and she suggested to invite one of her senior partners, Johnny, who is also the gentleman I connected on LinkedIn, to continue our conversation. What's your schedule like these days? And she said, I want you to finish this book before we have our meeting with Johnny. And I explained to her, like, hey, I just ordered the book on Amazon. It's gonna take a while for it to get there. It's gonna take a while for me to read it. Can we postpone this a week? Because it's like a little bit too sudden. I don't know, we're moving a little bit fast, don't you think? So you bet your ass I actually bought this book and I read it. So it actually ended up working out because Johnny was unavailable. So I had time to actually read and finish this book before our following conversation. So I just spoke to Lizzie the second time again. During the second conversation, we're just kind of talking about the book itself, and she's asking about my homework assignments and what I learned, and we're just reviewing, right? We're just talking back and forth. We had our second lesson, and she's basically just teaching me what the independent franchise model is. So she's explained to me what these models are and how she individually cherry picks the best things out of each model and puts it as a hybrid for what she currently uses for her business. And I'm thinking, okay, seems interesting, tell me more. It's going great, I'm learning a lot. And then I said, okay, what's next? And then at this point, she introduced me to something called BWW and Amway. I've never heard of these companies my entire life, but she wanted to just introduce those things because those are the tools that she uses for her current business and how it kind of ties in with her mentors. So I said, okay, don't know where this is really going, so let's have another Zoom call. Also, just to point out, I'm getting a little bit suspicious about Lizzie, and I'm kind of thinking, why did she reach out to me? How did she find me? What compelled her to start a conversation with me, right? Because I see we have a lot of mutual connections on LinkedIn, so someone has to know her. So I'm scrolling through all of our mutual connections, and I noticed something really interesting. These happen to be all the people from my high school, and they're all Asian. So I reached out to a few people from my high school, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I know this is really random, but do you actually happen to know who Lizzie is, and how do you know her? And a lot of the people said, no, I actually don't know her. I just accepted her because whatever, right? And it wasn't until one person said, no, I actually don't know her, but she started asking me a lot of questions and it got really weird. I'm thinking, oh, did she also ask you about your interest in business and entrepreneurship and how to get started? And he's saying, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, because she asked me the same exact thing. So it seems like she has a specific target in mind, in that 1, they should be Asian, and 2, they have some kind of experience within business or have some kind of interest in entrepreneurship. And she does the whole spiel where she connects with them and then asks them really personal questions, tries to develop a connection with them, and then set up a video chat to recruit them into her team. Okay, back to the story. So the last and final Zoom call was actually with Johnny and Lizzie together. So as we're scheduling this call to meet, Lizzie makes a point to emphasize that Johnny is working as a project manager in commercial banking while running a $250,000 company on the side. He was my connector between me and my mentors. So basically saying like his time is money and don't waste his time. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy seems like a pretty important person. I should do my research. I should probably read up on my notes so I don't sound stupid. And we finally have the conversation with Johnny. First impression, he was very intimidating, not friendly at all like Lizzie. It was pretty much interviewing me the entire time and I was very uncomfortable. So he said, okay, here's your next lesson. I'm gonna explain what BWW and Amway does and how that ties into this entire picture. So he sends me this PowerPoint and I'm taking a look at it, right? And then I'm like, okay, seems like foreign information to me, but I'm kind of piecing things one by one. So Amway is a compensation program with products and fulfillment, and BWW is a business training and mentorship program that's available, and you tie those two things together to start your own business. So at this point, I'm thinking this is a little bit sketchy. This almost sounds like to me, a really complex pyramid scheme. But I'm not gonna say that because I'm still gonna give them a chance. I wanna hear them out. But I'm looking through this PowerPoint and I see, here are the exclusive brands that they sell through Amway. You see Artistry, Neutralite, and XS Energy. The only brand that sticks out to me is Neutralite. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I know where I've heard of that. It's from all like the aunts and relatives that are selling things on Facebook. And all those girls from high school that peaked, that say they're an entrepreneur now, that's what they're selling. After I'm done having the conversation with Johnny, he gives me some things to take a look at, some videos. So it was a 30-minute podcast of all these defense mechanisms to use when people are giving you criticisms for starting your own business. For example, the video is saying, what do you say when someone thinks this is a pyramid scheme? And then your response would be this is not a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is illegal. This is yada yada yada, aka a pyramid scheme. And I'm starting to piece everything together between the relationship between Lizzie, Johnny, and their mentor. Mentor probably being the owner of or whoever recruited them. And so the final straw is when I looked at their LinkedIn bios and I noticed a very similar trend that they both had. So I'm gonna put a picture of Lizzie and Johnny's LinkedIn description and you tell me what's familiar. You see that both of them have an LLC, which basically means their own business, and they all have very similar descriptions if you read in between the lines. Help 60 plus Fortune 500 companies to build and manage an online community and generate passive revenue. With Johnny's description, it says, providing business solutions and building online revenues and communities for major retailers across the world with over 2 million in revenue in North America. So basically saying, hi, I work at a very complex business scheme where I encourage other people to start their own business, which essentially means sell certain products and have their own business. At this point, I've just put 2 and 2 together and I was like, okay, well, I just completely wasted my time because someone that I thought was going to mentor me, set me up with connections, help me grow, potentially be my co-founder, is actually just selling me on an idea, aka be my own entrepreneur and start my own business by just selling the products that are on the Amway website. So that's my experience of being scammed on LinkedIn. So do I feel disappointed? A little bit, but I did get a lot of experience out of this. I talked to a complete stranger on LinkedIn. The only thing is that she did make me buy this book and ship it to me really quickly, and it was like, what, 25 bucks plus shipping. So I did not appreciate that, but this is a great book regardless if you're looking for a quick read. Moral of the story is just be careful with LinkedIn because there's gonna be a bunch of people connecting with you and trying to reach out and have a conversation. Just be cautious, do your research, look into their profiles, and find out what their intentions are. So that concludes the end of my story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned something from this. Don't be naive. Just because it's a professional networking site doesn't mean everyone is very professional. You're gonna have some people hit on you. You're gonna have some people message you for no reason. You're gonna have some people message you trying to sell a product. So that is that. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next week. Bye guys!